Imagine putting together a basketball team with the future number 1 overall pick, an NBA All-Star, an NBA champion, multiple first-round draft picks, a Rookie of the Year, and one of the best point guards in college basketball history, all on the same high school roster. Well, in 2020, that's exactly what Montverde Academy did. Every night they took the floor, they weren't just expected to win, they were expected to dominate, and they did. Their roster was so stacked that looking back now, it almost doesn't seem real. But 6 years later, not every story ended the way people expected. Some became NBA stars, some fought just to stay in the league, and others took completely different paths altogether. So today, we're taking a look at what happened to every major player from arguably the greatest high school basketball team ever assembled. Back in 2020, Dariq Whitehead wasn't yet the superstar recruit the basketball world would soon come to know. Standing 6'6" and originally from Newark, New Jersey, Whitehead was only a sophomore on this Montverde roster. Despite being one of the youngest players on the team, it didn't take long for people to realise just how special he could become. Over the next 2 years, his stock would absolutely explode. By 2022, Whitehead had been named National High School Player of the Year, earned MVP honours at the McDonald's All-American Game, and climbed all the way to 3rd in the 247 sports recruiting rankings. Virtually every powerhouse in college basketball wanted him. Florida State, Kansas, even the G League offered another route. But in the end, Whitehead chose John Shire and Duke. Expectations couldn't have been much higher. As a consensus 5-star recruit, many believed he'd spend just 1 season in Durham before becoming a lottery pick. Technically that part happened, but the year itself didn't quite go to plan. Whitehead struggled to establish himself consistently in a loaded Duke rotation, with scoring dominated by Carl Filipowski and Derek Lively. He played in 28 games, starting only 7, and averaged just over 8 points per game as the Blue Devils were eliminated by Tennessee in the second round of the NCAA tournament. His draft stock inevitably slips. Instead of hearing his name called near the top of the draft, Whitehead fell to the Brooklyn Nets with the 23rd overall pick in 2023. Unfortunately, the difficult run continued. His rookie season lasted just 2 NBA games before he found himself spending significant time in the G League. The following season brought more opportunities, but still only 20 NBA appearances. Then came perhaps the lowest point of his young career. Before his 3rd season, Brooklyn waived him entirely. For a player who'd once been one of the biggest names in high school basketball, it looked like his NBA dream might already be slipping away. But basketball careers rarely follow a straight line. Late in the season, the rebuilding Memphis Grizzlies offered Whitehead a 10-day contract. It was exactly the opportunity he needed. Over just 6 games, he averaged 16 points, started the first 2 games of his NBA career, and even exploded for a career-high 26-point performance. Suddenly, the player people had been waiting to see finally showed flashes of the talent that made him such an elite recruit in the first place. As things stand, Whitehead is still without a team heading into the 2027 season. The good news, he doesn't even turn 22 until August. He's still younger than some incoming NBA rookies, and his margin of error is shrinking, but there's every chance one strong training camp could completely change the direction of his career. While Whitehead's NBA future remains uncertain, the next sophomore from this Montverde team actually reached the league much faster. Unlike Whitehead, Caleb Houstan's path to the NBA looked almost effortless. The 6'8" Canadian forward was the only non-senior to start for Montverde's legendary 2020 team, immediately standing out with his size, shooting touch, and polished offensive game. Originally from Mississauga, Ontario, Houstan was viewed as one of the safest prospects in his class. So safe, in fact, that he decided to reclassify and head to college a full year early. Despite accelerating his timeline, Houstan remained a consensus 5-star recruit and eventually committed to Michigan over offers from Alabama, Duke, and Virginia. It didn't take long for him to become an important piece for the Wolverines. Playing alongside future NBA players Hunter Dickinson and Moussa Diabate, Houstan averaged just over 10 points and 4 rebounds during his lone college season. Michigan's tournament run ended in the second round against Villanova, but Houston's attention had already shifted towards the NBA. After just one season, he declared for the draft. The Orlando Magic selected him with the 32nd overall pick. Unlike Whitehead, Houstan carved out an NBA role almost immediately. Across his first 3 seasons in Orlando, he appeared in more than 50 games every year. The production wasn't spectacular, never averaging more than 4.3 points per game, but simply staying on an NBA roster is an achievement very few players ever accomplish. He even produced flashes that reminded everyone why he'd been one of the nation's best recruits. On January 7, 2024, Houstan erupted for a career-high 25 points in an overtime victory against Atlanta. But perhaps the strangest moment of his NBA career came off the court. In 2025, The Athletic published an article highlighting an unbelievable statistic. Despite playing over 500 NBA minutes, Caleb Houstan had never recorded a single dunk. For a 6'8" wing, that's almost impossible to believe. Eventually, Orlando moved on and Houstan signed with the Atlanta Hawks ahead of the 2025-26 season. Unfortunately, that opportunity never really materialized. After appearing in just 18 games, Atlanta waived him before the season ended. Now, just like Whitehead, Houstan enters another off-season searching for his next opportunity. Whatever happens next though, he's already achieved something most players only dream of. He's made the NBA, played multiple seasons, and according to some outlets earned at least $6.5 million along the way. Not bad for someone who was just once a teenager on an impossibly talented high school team. But while Houstan followed a fairly traditional path to the NBA, the next player's journey was completely different. He wasn't a 5-star recruit. He wasn't even ranked inside the top 50 nationally. Yet somehow, he may have become one of the biggest success stories from the entire roster. Ryan Nembhard. Sometimes the best stories don't belong to the highest ranked players. They belong to the ones who simply refuse to stop getting better. Back in 2020, Ryan Nembhard wasn't the headline act at Montverde. Surrounded by future lottery picks and McDonald's All-Americans, the Canadian point guard often flew under the radar. Standing just 6 foot, he simply didn't have the size or athletic profile of many of his teammates. But what Ryan lacked physically, he more than made up for with one thing: his basketball IQ. From an early age, Nembhard understood how to control a game. He wasn't interested in scoring 30 points or producing highlight reel dunks. Instead, he picked defenses apart with precision passing, elite decision making, and one of the highest basketball IQs in the country. Those qualities earned him a place at Creighton, where his impact was almost immediate. As a freshman, Nembhard started every single game for the Creighton Blue Jays, averaging over 11 points and nearly 5 assists per contest. Not many freshmen are trusted to run an entire offense. Ryan was, and by his sophomore season he'd taken another leap. Creighton reached the Elite Eight, and Nembhard established himself as one of the best pure point guards in college basketball. Most players would have stayed. Ryan had other ideas. Following the 2023 season, he entered the transfer portal. It was one of the biggest point guard decisions of the offseason, and after plenty of speculation, he eventually committed to Gonzaga. Looking back now, it may have been the perfect decision. From the moment he arrived in Spokane, Nembhard elevated his game to another level. The Bulldogs handed him the keys to the offense, and he responded with the best basketball of his career. He averaged nearly 10 assists per game during the 2024-25 season, leading the entire nation, not just the West Coast Conference, the entire country. It wasn't just the numbers that impressed NBA scouts though, it was how he played. Every possession seemed to be under complete control. He manipulated defenders, created passing angles that didn't appear to exist, played at his own pace and made everyone around him better. Those are qualities that don't always show up on the stat sheet, but coaches absolutely love them. After another outstanding season, Nembhard finally declared for the 2025 NBA draft. Unlike several of his Montverde teammates, he wasn't projected as a lottery pick. Instead, he didn't even hear his name called on draft night and had to settle as an undrafted free agent heading to the Dallas Mavericks. For many players, being undrafted means spending years fighting just to stay in the league. Ryan wasted no time proving he belonged. During Summer League, he put on a playmaking clinic, immediately showing the same composure and playmaking ability that had made him such a star at Gonzaga. Even more impressively, he outplayed teammate and #1 pick Cooper Flagg in his Summer League debut. That's almost unheard of for an undrafted rookie. Now entering his first full NBA season, Nembhard found himself in a fascinating situation. With no Kyrie Irving, there was a vacancy at the point guard spot in Dallas. And after a failed experiment with Cooper Flagg, Jason Kidd gave Nembhard his opportunity and never looked back. Across the season, Nembhard did what he does best. He controlled the pace, he took care of the basketball, and he made life easier for everyone around him. Ryan even notched a 23 assist game in April, right after signing a multi-year contract. But then a twist. On July 19th, Nembhard was traded to the Atlanta Hawks in a trade that sent the former #1 pick Zachary Risacher to the Mavericks. Now he must rebuild his reputation on a new franchise. For someone who was never considered the biggest prospect on this Montverde team, Ryan Nembhard has quietly built one of the most impressive basketball resumes of anyone on the roster. But while Ryan carved out his reputation through patience and decision making, the next player relied on something completely different: raw power. At 6'11" and well over 250 pounds, Dariq Sharpe looked physically ready for college basketball long before he ever stepped foot on campus. Even on a roster packed with elite talent, Sharpe's size immediately stood out. He was the team's enforcer, setting crushing screens, controlling the glass, protecting the rim, and finishing everything around the basket. By the time his high school career came to an end, Sharpe had firmly established himself as one of the best centers in America. A consensus 5-star recruit, a McDonald's All-American, and one of the top 10 players in the entire country. With offers arriving from virtually every powerhouse imaginable, Sharpe eventually committed to North Carolina. For Tar Heel fans, expectations were sky high. His freshman season wasn't perfect, but it showed exactly why NBA teams were so intrigued. Sharpe averaged nearly 10 points and almost 8 rebounds despite coming off the bench for much of the season, and his energy completely changed games. Whether it was offensive rebounds, second chance points, or simply bringing physicality that opponents struggled to match. This impact earned him ACC All-Freshman honours as he led the ACC in offensive rebounds. Unfortunately, the 2021 UNC team led by Armando Bacot and Caleb Love fell in the first round of the tournament. By the end of the year, Sharpe declared for the NBA draft. The Brooklyn Nets selected him with the 29th overall pick in 2021. Unlike many late first-round selections, Sharpe didn't immediately become a rotation player. Instead, Brooklyn took their time developing him. Over his first couple seasons, his minutes were inconsistent. In Brooklyn's only playoff series since Sharpe was drafted, he played 22 seconds total against the Celtics. But every now and then, you'd see flashes. A dominant rebounding performance, a double-double, a game where his motor completely overwhelmed opposing big men. As Brooklyn entered the rebuilding phase, those opportunities gradually increased. Sharpe continued improving his conditioning, maintaining the physical edge that had always made him so valuable. Then came the biggest vote of confidence in his career. Following last season, the Nets rewarded Sharpe with a new 2-year contract worth around $20 million. For a player drafted outside the lottery, that's a significant achievement. It also sent a clear message. Brooklyn believes Dariq Sharpe can be part of their future. And with the departure of Nick Claxton, an opportunity is opened. While he may never become a 20-point-per-game scorer, every NBA team needs players willing to do the dirty work. Rebound, defend, screen, protect the paint. Sharpe has built an NBA career doing exactly that. It's not always glamorous, but it's incredibly valuable. Still, as successful as Dariq Sharpe's journey has been, the next player on this Montverde team reached even greater heights. Not only did he become an NBA starter, he became an NBA champion. Standing 6'6" and weighing around 205 pounds, Moody arrived at Montverde from Little Rock, Arkansas as one of the country's most talented wings. Unlike several of his teammates, however, he wasn't viewed as a can't-miss superstar. By the time he graduated in 2020, Moody was considered a consensus 4-star recruit and ranked 14 nationally by 247 Sports. Still, his recruitment attracted enormous interest. He received 25 Division I offers before ultimately choosing to stay close to home and commit to Arkansas. At that time, it was a huge moment for the Razorbacks. In fact, Moody became Arkansas's highest-ranked recruit since 2013. The expectations were enormous, and somehow he exceeded them. From the moment he stepped on the court in Fayetteville, Moody looked like a future professional. His smooth scoring ability, defensive instincts, and mature decision-making immediately separated him from most freshmen in college basketball. By the end of the season, he was averaging 16.8 points, nearly 6 rebounds, and a steal per game. His performances earned him SEC Freshman of the Year honors, a place on the All-SEC First Team, and perhaps most importantly, he helped lead Arkansas all the way to the Elite Eight. For many Razorback fans, Moody had already cemented himself as one of the greatest one-and-done players in program history. There wasn't much left for him to prove, so following the season, Moody declared for the NBA draft. The Golden State Warriors selected him with the 14th overall pick. Joining a team led by Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green wasn't exactly the easiest place for a rookie to find minutes, but Moody embraced the role. He appeared in 52 games during his rookie season, averaging 4.4 points, while quietly learning from one of the greatest dynasties basketball has ever seen. Then came the playoffs. Although he wasn't a regular part of Steve Kerr's rotation through the postseason, Moody made the most of his opportunities he did receive. During the Western Conference Finals against Dallas, he played valuable minutes, including a 10-point performance in Game 5 that helped Golden State reach yet another NBA Finals. When the Warriors defeated the Boston Celtics in the finals, Moody officially became an NBA champion, even if his finals minutes mostly came in garbage time. A championship ring is a championship ring, and to this day he's still the only player from this Montverde roster who can say he's won one. Since then, Moody's career has quietly continued trending upwards. Instead of exploding overnight, he's improved little by little every season. Each year his role has grown, his confidence has increased, and so has his production. By his 5th NBA season, Moody was averaging career highs of 12.1 points, 3.3 rebounds and a steal per game, establishing himself as one of Golden State's most reliable young wings. Unfortunately, just as it looked like he was ready to take another leap, disaster struck. A torn patella tendon in his left knee brought his 2025-26 season to an abrupt end. It's one of the toughest injuries any basketball player can face, but at just 24 years old, there's still every reason to believe Moody can return stronger, especially with Golden State entering a fascinating new chapter. As Stephen Curry's legendary career begins to wind down, the Warriors will eventually need a new generation to carry the franchise forward. If Moody can return to full health, he could become one of the key pieces in that future. But while Moses Moody quietly built an outstanding NBA career, the next player became something entirely different, a genuine NBA star. Some players fit neatly into one position: point guard, small forward, power forward. Scottie Barnes has never really fit into any of those categories. At 6'8" and around 210 pounds, Barnes entered Montverde looking like a forward, but he played like a point guard. His unique combination of size, passing ability and defensive versatility made him one of the most fascinating prospects in high school basketball. By the end of his senior year, Barnes had established himself as the 9th ranked recruit in the country and a consensus 5-star prospect. He'd earned invitations to the McDonald's All-American Game, the Jordan Brand Classic and the Nike Hoop Summit. Unfortunately, like so many events in 2020, all 3 were cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Even without those showcases though, Barnes had no shortage of college options. Kentucky wanted him, Oregon wanted him, almost every major program wanted him. But in October of 2019, Barnes made a decision that would surprise a lot of people. He committed to Florida State. At the time, many questioned the move. Florida State wasn't known for building teams around one superstar. Their system relied on depth, versatility, and sharing the ball. Ironically, that turned out to be the perfect environment for Scottie Barnes. Rather than immediately becoming the focal point, Barnes embraced whatever role the Seminoles needed. He even came off the bench in 17 of his 24 games as a freshman. Yet despite that, his impact was impossible to ignore. Barnes averaged 10.3 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists and 1.5 steals per game, constantly stuffing the stat sheet in different ways. His ability to guard multiple positions while initiating the offense made him one of the most unique players in college basketball. The awards quickly followed. ACC Rookie of the Year, ACC Sixth Man of the Year, ACC All-Freshman Team, 3rd Team All-ACC. Not bad for someone who wasn't even starting every game. Florida State season eventually came to an end in the Sweet 16, and despite the Seminoles having no other future NBA players on the roster, Barnes had done more than enough to convince scouts. Just 1 year after arriving in Tallahassee, he declared for the NBA draft. Standing 6'6" and weighing around 215 pounds, Cunningham arrived at Montverde as the undisputed #1 player in the country. Everything about his high school career pointed towards superstardom. He was a consensus 5-star recruit, the 24/7 Sports #1 player in the 2020 class. He won National High School Player of the Year, EYBL MVP, and Mr. Basketball USA. Selections to the McDonald's All-American Game, Jordan Brand Classic, and Nike Hoop Summit, although like several of his teammates, those games were ultimately cancelled because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Simply put, there wasn't a bigger name in high school basketball, so when it came time to choose a college, the entire country was watching. On November 5th, 2019, Cunningham announced he would be committing to Oklahoma State. It was a monumental decision. Not only did he become the highest ranked recruit in program history, he also became Oklahoma's first 5-star commit since Marcus Smart back in 2012. The expectations couldn't have been higher, yet somehow, Cade exceeded them. His freshman season wasn't just good, it was historic. What is perhaps most remarkable is that no other player from Oklahoma State's roster would go on to reach the NBA. Every defense knew exactly who the Cowboys' biggest threat was, and they still couldn't stop him. Night after night, Cunningham carried the offense, scoring, rebounding, creating, and leading. But one performance stood out from the rest. On February 17th against arch rivals Oklahoma, Cunningham produced one of the greatest games of his college career. 40 points, 11 rebounds, complete domination. By the end of the season, he was averaging 20 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals a game. The awards almost became impossible to keep track of. First Team All-American, First Team All-Big 12, Big 12 Player of the Year, Big 12 Freshman of the Year, Big 12 All-Freshman Team, Naismith Award finalist, the Wayman Tisdale Award, and countless others. There was no longer any debate. Cade Cunningham was the best player in college basketball. On April 1st, he officially declared for the NBA draft. Unlike many draft classes where opinions differ, this one felt decided months in advance. Cunningham was the consensus #1 overall pick, and on draft night, the Detroit Pistons made it official. From the greatest high school team in America to the #1 pick in the NBA draft, the next chapter had begun. Ironically, his NBA career couldn't have started much worse. In his debut, Cunningham scored just 2 points. At that time, it was the fewest points ever scored in an NBA debut by a #1 overall pick since Anthony Bennett. For a moment, people began asking questions. Could the hype have been too much? Those doubts disappeared incredibly quickly though. As his rookie season progressed, Cunningham looked every bit like the franchise player Detroit had hoped for. He recorded 2 triple-doubles, earned a place on NBA All-Rookie First Team, and joined incredible exclusive statistical groups alongside names like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and Magic Johnson. By season's end, he'd averaged 17.4 points, 5.5 rebounds, 5.6 assists, and 1.5 steals per game. Everything was pointing upwards. Then, disaster struck. After just 12 games in his second NBA season, Cunningham suffered a season-ending shin injury. Just like that, his momentum had disappeared. For many young players, an injury that early can completely derail a career. Instead, it became a turning point. Returning for his 3rd season, Cunningham found himself leading one of the youngest teams in basketball, and Detroit actually started the year 2-1. Then came one of the darkest stretches in NBA history. 28 consecutive losses, a losing streak that tied the all-time NBA record. Incredibly, even during that run, Cunningham continued producing at an elite level. During the 28th straight defeat, he finished with 31 points and 9 assists. After the game, he delivered a quote Piston fans still remember today: "We ain't 2-29 bad." At the time, many people laughed. A year later, he proved exactly what he meant. Before the start of his 4th season, Detroit rewarded Cunningham with a 5-year, $224 million extension. It was a massive show of faith, one that Cade repaid almost immediately. He made his first NBA All-Star team, earned All-NBA third team honors, and averaged an incredible 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists per game. More importantly, the Pistons transformed from one of the worst teams in basketball to one of its biggest success stories. After finishing 14-68 the previous year, Detroit improved to 44-38, one of the biggest single-season turnarounds in NBA history. Although their playoff run ended in 6 games against the Knicks, the direction of the franchise had completely changed. Last season, Cunningham somehow got even better. He elevated both himself and the Pistons to another level. Detroit surged all the way to the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Cunningham earned first-team All-NBA honors, finished 5th in MVP voting, and averaged 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 10 assists. He also dropped a career-high 46 points against Washington in November, continuing to prove why so many people now view him as one of the league's elite guards. The playoffs brought even more progress. He battled back from a 3-1 deficit to eliminate Orlando before eventually falling to Cleveland in a hard-fought 7-game series. It wasn't the ending they wanted, but it was another step forward. Now entering his 5th NBA season, Cunningham isn't simply viewed as a superstar anymore. He's already arrived. An All-NBA player, an MVP candidate, and the face of one of the NBA's fastest rising franchises. Looking back, it's almost impossible to believe all of this talent existed on one high school team. One roster produced an NBA champion, multiple All-Stars, lottery picks, elite college players, and one of the best point guards in the world. Some careers unfolded exactly as everyone predicted. Others took unexpected turns. Some players are still fighting to establish themselves, while others have already reached the very top of basketball. And that's exactly what makes this Montverde team so fascinating. Not just because of how talented they were, but because no 2 journeys ended up looking the same. For years, this team was talked about as the greatest collection of high school talent ever assembled. Now that we've seen where everyone's journey has taken them, I think that debate becomes even stronger. If you enjoyed this look back at one of basketball's greatest high school teams, let me know which player's career surprised you the most.